All right, Dog fans, we are back for yet another edition of Talkin Huskies right here on Root Sports Northwest. Dave Softy Mahler, Cam Cleland, joined as always by producer extraordinaire, despite the fact that he's a Duck fan, by the way, Alex Altman. Big thanks to our friends at the law offices of Catherine Clark. I know Catherine Cam is getting ready to head to Vegas with us for the game on Friday, but my God, before we talk about the rematch with Oregon and maybe the biggest Pac-12 game ever, how about what we saw on Saturday afternoon at Husky Stadium? The Cardiac Kids, buddy, have done it again, and the Dogs, for the first time since 1991, are 12-0. How about that?
Dude, 12-0. I have to say that a couple times. 12-0. No other team has done it in Husky history other than, we know, 1991. And there's been some teams that have been close, but think about what they were able to accomplish, man. That run in November, everyone said the gauntlet's going to get them. It's going to tear them apart. Well, it wasn't easy. Certainly wasn't supposed to be easy. But as you sit, again, 12-0 with a chance for a Pac-12 title, you couldn't be in any more perfect position, and it couldn't have been a more perfect finish against the Cougs with a field goal to end it. So, yeah, man, my heart it's still trying to recover.
Well, I mean, first of all, we could be here all day talking about the game. We could be here all day just talking about the final drive for UW, the decision, Cam, on 4th down, and I was with you 1,000%. I heard you on radio. I put it out on Twitter. You got to go for it, man. I felt like if the Cougars got the ball back, if the Huskies punted there on 4th and 1 from their 29, my gut was if the Cougars got the ball back, they would have won the football game. I thought it was the right call to go for it. I love the play call. He faked out everybody, including the radio broadcast and TV. What'd you make of the balls the size of Mount Rainier, baby, on Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer with the reverse sweep to Roma Dunze there?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, there's my you got to have guts. And Coach DeBoer said this, too. I would rather be in the position where I control the football and the decision in there. I don't want to hand it back to them and give them that opportunity with Cam Ward and that offense. That was the right decision. It was the play design that was even better. The previous handoff where you have an offset and then DJ gets stuffed and then you run out punt to try to get them to jump off sides, but then you knew that play call was part of their red zone package and their short yardage. But for Michael Penix to have the opportunity to hand it to DJ and ride that sucker, and everybody bid on it, but it was his option, Michael Penix's option, to pull that football and flip it to Roma Dunze, and that was it. I mean, it changed the whole gambit of what it was, and you had to make that decision. I don't care what it is. 4th downs, we've won more 4th downs this year than we did last year, and our opponents have not had success on 4th down because our defense is better, and that's been the difference in a lot of football games.
Well, and Cam, you mentioned Mike Penix, and there's a lot to talk about with Michael. We got to talk about his Heisman Trophy chances. Will he even get the invite to New York City in a couple weeks from now? But we'll table that conversation for a minute because the last drive of the game, the 4th down play, amazing. Grady Gross's game winner, amazing. But how many times is this football team going to give its entire fan base a heart attack? I feel like as a Husky fan, you should bring a lot of stuff to the game, your tailgate gear, your beanies, your gloves, your hats, your coats, all that stuff, and then some paddles because you're about to have a heart attack watching this team operate in the 4th quarter. Michael Penix almost picked off not once, but twice going to the goal line to Jaylen. Rome had to bat away a ball that was deflected, that was almost intercepted by Washington State. What was UW doing throwing the ball in that situation when a lot of fans, including me, thought, hey, pound the run, get the clock down, get your game-winning field goal, and get the heck out of there?
Well, I can tell you what they were doing. They were trying to score a touchdown and win with a touchdown. That's what they were trying to do. I know that sounds simple. Look, I love kickers, and I do, but when it comes down to it, if you can control it on offense, if you can rely on your best players, and this isn't shade at kickers or anything, your best player is Michael Penix and along with Roma Dunze in your receiving core. That's how you want to win a football game. And then if you're going to attack it, it's exactly what you've done in big moments, including last week at Oregon State and at Utah, against Utah and against Oregon. All those times you hit Roma Dunze on big plays. The one to the middle, that one did scare me where Mike was on his back foot. And give the tip of the cap to Washington State. They got home in blitzes. They hit Michael Penix. They made him nervous. They were attacking. They might have, according to maybe Coach Grubb, seen some things extra. Doesn't matter. That's part of the game. However, it all came down to one kick, and it was good. And that matters the most, is that you had 24 points and they had 21.
Well, and let's talk about that last drive a little bit. Now that we're kind of post-mortem and the Huskies got the win, they're 12-0. Truth serum, the late hit by Ron Stone on Mike Penix, roughing the passer. Right call, wrong call, put the shoe on the other foot. I know if that happened to us as Husky fans, I would be irate.
Yeah, I mean, of course I'd be irate, but we've seen this from referees. We know that the quarterbacks in those situations all the time are going to get the benefit of the doubt. If it was against us, I'd be irate. And if it was for us, I'd be like, okay, would that have stopped Michael Penix maybe moving the football? There was still time. It doesn't say what we would have seen. Could he hit more shots over the middle? We don't know. It was a lot of penalties. We know this, the way Washington has been penalized this year, it was finally on the good side. And there's been a couple that have been egregious, but finally on the good side. But you still had to make the play to get down there to win a football game. And you found a way to win it.
Yeah, 10 flags for Wazoo, 7 for UW, which, by the way, that seems like a major victory for Washington to only have 7 flags in the game on Saturday. But you mentioned Michael Penix, man. The numbers for him on Saturday were not great. He throws the pick to start the third quarter. That, by the way, Cam, is when I started to get really concerned about this game, is when Mike got picked off to start the second half. But his numbers overall, rather pedestrian, man. 18 for 33, 204. Couple of touchdowns, the interception. The last 6 games for Mike since the win against Oregon, 59%, 12 touchdowns, 5 picks, 266 per game. And Ryan Grubb was asked on Monday, the Husky offensive coordinator, what is going on, man, with this passing offense in the last month and a half?
It hasn't been as effective, and I know everybody worries about how much the ball is going down the field or not going down the field, but I think we also made a lot of those plays that got us some big wins too. And so I don't think you can just change your DNA completely. You got to find the right shots at the right times and when to be patient as well. So I think, we'll have a good plan ready for Oregon, and our guys are going to have to make contested catches. That's going to be a given. And you go back to the Oregon game that we won, almost every big play that we had was a contested throw. And so I think that part of the thing is that people are, playing us more aggressively, and so there's going to be a lower percent completion, and there's going to be tougher catches and tougher plays, and there's just, people make adjustments throughout the season. We have to do the same.
So Mike Penix has gone from a Heisman favorite, Cam, to a guy that might make the ceremony in New York City. You heard Ryan's thoughts on the passing game. What do you see going on the last month and a half with number 9 and this passing offense?
Oh, football's hard. I mean, does Mike look the same? No, I'm not going to speculate on what's going on. All I do know is Jaylen Powe is going through some issues, and it happened very quickly. It's like that. From a guy that's experienced, the ball starts spinning at you different. You make different choices at Oregon State. You drop a few ball. He drops an out route. He disappears. Jalen McMillan has had the first big game when it comes to catch numbers since Michigan State. So he's been relying on, and I agree with this wholeheartedly, Rome Odunze is the best wide receiver in the country, should be the Blitnikoff winner, but he's had to rely on that. And then you have Jack Westover. Devin Culp's been a little bit quiet the last little bit. It's been a one-man machine, legitimate. Denzel Boston had to come in. All the things that you're looking, Jeremy Bernard has been quiet. So these are the things that you're down to really one guy that it feels like Michael trusts. And if that happens, that means you're starting to single out a lot of hard throws. When I mean hard throws, from one hash to sideline. Okay, deep balls over the middle. And some of those have been complete, but teams are going to start to gauge on that. And that's what has happened towards the end, is that the hard throws are hard because they're so far down the field. And those are low percentage throws anyway. And if you're going to rely on that versus Oregon next week, let's hope that everybody gets right. Because that is what dominates this offense, is the fear of those receivers getting down the field.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. We got to come back and talk about how to get this passing offense going, how to get number 2 going, the matchup with Oregon. We're going to hear from Kalen DeBoer. We're going to hear from William Inge. We're going to get your questions on Twitter as well. That's all coming up next on Talkin Huskies Pac-12 Championship Week edition, baby, right here on Root Sports Northwest. fans, welcome back. We are right here every week on Talkin Huskies, right here on Root Sports Northwest, of course on YouTube. And of course, big thanks to our sponsors, including our friend Tim Earl over at Nordstrom Heating and Air. Find him on the web for all your fall and winter heating needs at nordstromheating.com. And Cam, before we kind of break down more about what's happening with the passing game, look ahead to the Oregon Ducks on Friday in Vegas. Let's hear from the head coach, Jaylen Powe, talking about what it means to be a part of the first 12-0 football team since 1991.
Getting into the championship game right now and everything that comes along with it, the excitement, maybe even just the pressure, I mean, whatever it is. I mean, that's why guys came here. They came to UW. I reminded them of that, that they came here to play in a game like this and to love it, embrace the moment and, cut it loose and let's go get it.
And not just the first 12-0 team since 1991, but the first Pac-12 team ever to run through the regular season undefeated. And now they have to prove it again, baby. They got to get a redo against the Oregon Ducks. It's like a game of horse. They got to prove it, baby, on Friday night at 5 o'clock against Oregon. We'll look ahead to that game in a second. But, Cam, going back to our comments and your comments last segment about the passing game, I thought on Saturday the Huskies did a really poor job of work in the middle of the field, man. Most of their throws were to the boundary or down the field, down the sideline, as you said earlier, on low percentage shots. I felt like what Wazoo was doing with those rub routes and screens, that's what UW used to do to people earlier in the year. What happened to work in the seam? What happened to Jack Westover? What happened to Devin Culp and getting Roma Dunze and J-Mac on inside screens and rub routes? That used to be the Huskies' bread and butter. Where'd it go?
Well, I'll tell you two things, Dave. It's combining apples and oranges, really. You're looking at a Washington State team that runs air raid, and everything is predicated on one-side reads with RPOs. And it's based on that. It's based on quick slants and outside bubbles and verticals. It's one-side field reads sometimes for Cam Ward, and that's why he gets a lot of sacks. Now let's talk about Washington's offense. It's completely different. It's a completely different style of offense and mindset with calls and terminology and pre-snap reads and formation shifts and adjustments. So all that happens before the ball's even snapped. But this comes down to trust of what Michael Penix is trusting in who he wants to target. Okay, and that's not about the fact that the middle isn't open. And I believe that there are things that we look at and go, hey, can there be simplified throws? But that throw's not in this style. Okay, those hot reads are not in Michael Penix read progression. Can they be? Sure. But when it's humming, the effect of the vertical pass game and the fear of getting over the top has always opened up the little things from underneath with DJ. But that's where the running game needs to get started. There's so many things, like you said, that's an hour to unpack on how offenses get going. But you heard Coach DeBoer talk about it going into halftime, at the end of the game, and everything he says. Rhythm. We need rhythm. Consistency. That starts on first down. And it starts to be able to, on 2nd and 4, instead of hitting a downfield deep shot play where now you're behind it and you're at 2nd and 6 or anything 2nd and 4, you go for that first down and you get it on 2nd down and you keep that rhythm going. That's what I think they need to do versus Oregon.
Yeah, there's no doubt, Cam. And look, a lot of people will point to Ryan Grubb. You never know how many of these RPOs that Mike is checking out of. They did get Westover involved in the second half, but he had to make 2 great diving catches to secure the football. So, hey, look, it's fair for fans and media, I think, to look at a guy like Mike, whose numbers were so great in the first 6 games of the year. Accuracy was pinpoint in the first month and a half, and now he's sailing throws. He's under throwing receivers. People are wondering if he's totally healthy. We saw that image of him sticking his face in the comms box during Grady's game-winning field goal at the end of the game there with Jaylen Powe kind of consoling him. Is it fair to wonder, Cam, if Mike Penix has been totally healthy since that first game with Oregon?
Well, anybody that thinks that football, let me just state this as a football player, I'm just going to talk in this mindset. You're only healthy one time. That's the start of training camp. After that, there's no such thing as 100% healthy. Okay, you're playing at 50%, 60%. You're playing with bruises. Anybody that watches TV saw a little clip of Christian McCaffrey and his arms destroyed with blood and bruises after games. That's what everybody deals with. Is Mike hurt? That's not up to me to I don't know. I don't know him personally. I've met him a few times. He is sore. Things are beat up. Guys have played 12-0, and you've played through pain. And everybody knows that to deal with this game, you have to deal with pain. Is he as accurate as before in what he's dealing with? I don't know. You just have to get to the next game. That's it. That's all we have to do and summon some sort of competitive fight that gets you into that competitive mode where you can make those throws. But you're right, Dave. All of us are looking at him. He is a little bit different, but that's okay. Okay? That doesn't matter because you only got to get one game to finish, and that's this game. That's it. That's all where we're at when we're talking about Michael Penix. And I'm not going to question him because he's led us to 12-0 and he's closed when he's needed to. It may not be perfect, but this is what we got.
Yeah, well, the Huskies have found a way. It may not have been pretty. It may have given the fan base a heart attack, but they found a way for 12 consecutive weeks to get it done. Can they do it one more time Friday as a heavy underdog against Oregon? We'll get a break, come back and talk about the rematch with the Ducks, baby. Here we go, right here on Root Sports Northwest. All right, boys and girls, here we go. Back here on Talkin Huskies on Root Sports Northwest. Dave Softy Mahler, Cam Cleland, producer Alex Altman. Big thanks to our friends, by the way, at simplyseattle.com. They got a brand new shipment the other day of the old Don James Block W hat, by the way. How crazy looking is that? Does that not bring back some memories right there, Cam, of the Dogfather? You want one of these and you want a discount on anything on the website at simplyseattle.com. Use code WOOF15, WOOF 15 for anything. 15% off anything on the website at simplyseattle.com. Let's go across enemy lines and hear from Oregon head coach Dan Lanning, his thoughts on the rematch and more with Washington.
What's the energy like among the players? And do you at times have to kind of temper that energy to kind of keep them focused?
We got great energy. And I don't think it's really my job to necessarily temper the energy, but more so make sure that we maintain the focus on where it needs to be. And our guys have done a great job of that. They realize that energy doesn't win games, execution does.
All right, so the first game, 36-33. The comeback, Michael Penix and Roma Dunze, the hero. Dan Lanning maybe rolling the dice a bit on fourth down. The miss by Oregon. That game had everything. What do you think we're about to see in round 2 Friday in Vegas, pal?
Here's what I do know so far. I know Oregon has everything when it comes to funding, stars, big-time players. They're faster. Everything about them. They are a national gem, the way they market. Every one of them are so much better than us. They're just physically better than us. Their quarterback's better. Everything about them is better. Unfortunately for the Oregon fan and the Oregon logic is that we've still beat them the last 2 times. And I say that because is that deep in your soul and in your brain, you do know that UW has had the number and had the reason and have had the logic and have had the ability to beat you. So you're going to question it. And you're going to start to say, are they hurt? Or there's something that they're going to do differently? What do we have to do differently? You know what we do with Huskies? We just continue to do and dominate. And win a football game the way you're going to have to win it. Because it's going to be a close battle. There's no way that this is going to be a blowout. Not happening, sir. It's not, Oregon. So listen very carefully. You've lost 2 in a row to us. And you think you're better. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because on Friday, you're going to be able to justify the fact that when 3 in a row happens, there's going to be something that you're going to start to question. How tough are you?
Boy, I hope you're right, pal. This game has given me something. I don't know what that is. It could be the chili I had last night. I have no idea, but something's going on inside here before the game on Friday. Look, if you're going to win this game, Michael Penix has got to be a god, okay? Michael Penix has got to be a hero in this game. The defense, I think, has been playing better the last month and a half. Braylon Trice is finally, the guy that we thought he was going to be in the start of the season. There's no question about that. Number 8 at times has been unblockable. Got to get number 2 going, man. Jaylen Powe is 0 for his last 10. You're also going to have a healthy McMillan, which you did not have in the first game against the Oregon Ducks. And you know what? For the defense, tackling's been better. The tackling has got to be awesome this Friday against Oregon. We'll come back and wrap it up and talk more about the rematch with the Ducks next, right here on Talkin Huskies on Root Sports Northwest. All right, Dog fans, final segment for us as we get ready for the Pac-12 championship game on Friday at 5 o'clock against the Oregon Ducks. Again, big thanks to our friends at simplyseattle.com for 15% off anything, by the way. And Cam and Alex, you guys can use that code too. That's not just for the audience. We can use it too. WOOF15 for 15% off anything at simplyseattle.com. It's time for Askin Huskies right here on Talkin Huskies. And Cam, at Shadow4302 on Twitter, or X as the kids like to call it, wants to know, has the Husky defense improved over the season enough to contain Nix and the Oregon short passing attack on Friday?
All I do know is that this Husky defense has gotten so much better in the second half. Big shout out to what that group with Coach Morrell, Coach Inge have done with that group. How about the linebacker play of Carson Bruner, who is playing out of his mind? The defensive line, Braylon Trice, ZTF. I saw Lance Holtzclaw get his first sack of the season. Jabbar Muhammad is playing faster. Mish Powell is out there. And Cam Fabiculanan is coming back. So, yeah, our defense is better. And that's a great thing when you're facing the intimidating speed of Oregon, which how good they are. So, yes, over and over, our defense is going to keep us in this football game.
Well, and let's face it, guys, Washington wins, and they're in the Final Four. Oregon wins, they might be in, but they also might need some help. Quickly, Cam, is there a path for a one-loss Washington team to make the Final Four if they lose this game Friday?
Man, Dave, I wish I could come up with some logic with all these mishmash and all these things about how it comes down to it. Yeah, there could be a path, but do you think that the country's going to give the benefit of the doubt to the Pac-12? No, I don't think that anybody's going to give us that benefit of the doubt. So you can control your destiny here, and that's what I love. You control your opportunity. You win, you're in the Final Four. That's it. Hold up the trophy. You control it.
Hey, listen, go Dogs, go Georgia, and go Louisville this weekend. And you know what? Just for good measure, go Oklahoma State against Texas as well. All right, that's it for us. Next week, either way, there's no middle ground, pal. Either A, we're elated and we're celebrating a second trip to the Final Four in the last 7 years, or B, you're crushed and you're 12-1 after a loss to Oregon on Friday. Either way, we're back next week talking about all of it right here on Root Sports Northwest. Go Dogs.